Welcome to the Healing Heart Podcast, where all healing is always a matter of the heart. I'm your host, Donna Campbell, also known as the Mind Whisperer, interviewing guest experts on all matters of healing. Hi, and welcome back to the Healing Heart Podcast. I am your host, Donna Campbell, and my guest today is truly exceptional. She is both a former psychiatrist with her medical doctorate from UCLA and is an intuitive empowerment mentor and energy healer. She has overcome energy vampires all on her own, and now she accelerates your success in vanishing these unnecessary hindrances by helping you empower yourself so you can achieve more than you ever thought possible. Dr. Yve has also mentored former sex slaves from Honduras, and you can find some of her video series, Energetically Engaging with Narcissism, on her YouTube channel, Yve Spirit Speaks, MD. She has also been interviewed on the topic of abuse with parentpumpradio.com with Jacqueline Hunt and interviewed by Manny Lopez as role models for orphans aspiring to become entrepreneurs. So today we're going to be talking about here with Dr. Yve how to, one, open up your energy channels so you can really step into your soul's purpose, as well as what you need to do to really overcome those energy vampires so you can accelerate your success. So everybody here, have a huge round of applause and welcome for Yve Ruiz. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Donna. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm so honored.
So share with us a little bit of your backstory about how you got into the business of being a healer. I know it said you were formerly a psychiatrist, but now you do something totally different. So share with us how you went through that transition yourself so you can step into your soul's purpose as well.
Thank you. Wow. All right, let's see how to condense that into 60 seconds or less. So when I was only about 1.5 years old, I was in a pediatrician's office, and I noticed that my parents, who were my world at the time, stopped with rapt attention and gave such respect to this man who walked into the room. And all I knew at that age was what my mom said: he wants children to be healthy and well. I knew at that point I wanted to become a physician. And my parents nurtured that. I would be the first MD in my generation of the family, given that we have people with ancestry and heritage from Mexico. This is a big thing. So when I'm fast forwarding now to UCLA medical school, I had worked my way into a top medical school, and I was finding out that they only went so deep to heal. All right. So I felt like a walking paper doll, walking encyclopedia with my white coat. That's the paper doll look. But I wasn't addressing what was underlying all of those physical symptoms. So I went into family medicine and became very proficient in the organ systems. And I knew there was more. So then I went into psychiatry. So I am a family practitioner and I am a psychiatrist. When I went into psychiatry, I was happier that we were going into the emotional level, but there was still a level missing. So it's, in part, you could say it's opposite, but really, for me, the way I experienced it, it was simply filling in the spectrum, because I've always had the urge to heal. It's just that I wanted to go deeper than I could get in my traditional Western medical training. And so when I finally took that brave step, and the hardest thing about leaving all that prestigious education and, putting the shingle on the wall as a physician, the most difficult thing was telling my parents.
Oh my goodness.
Because they had been gunning for this for so long. But that worked out just fine. And I am now singing my heart song. I had a continuing nightmare, I could say, or a dream, while I was in my medical training and preparing for it, that I was not getting into the right dress. I would go further and further out from local stores. Over the years, it turned into foreign countries that I'd never been into, still looking for that right dress. And as soon as I made the decision to leave medicine traditionally, that dream stopped. I have found me. I am so happy. This is my life purpose.
Wow. Wow, quite the story there. And yes, some telltale signs for how you get corrected. You're going down a pathway, and if it's not right, the universe kind of does that autocorrect. So you are always living on purpose with everything that you're doing there. Now, one of the things that we talked about and then we had here in your bio was working with energy vampires. So tell us what do you see as an energy vampire? And how do you help people create that success without an energy vampire?
All right. Thank you. So I describe an energy vampire as anyone who knowingly or unknowingly zaps your energy when they interact with you. It could be someone who maybe has a chronic illness or who is hypochondriacal. It could be someone who's just going through a lot in their life at that moment and is rather needy, but they don't realize how needy they are. And then there's another type, and that's how we get into the narcissism, the people who actually intentionally manipulate and prey on other people's energy. The thing is, sometimes they might not be as aware of it as they could be. But the problem is that even when they do become aware of it, they don't care. And so how do we succeed in terms of having a life without them? Number one is to recognize their tells. While there are certain kinds, we call them overt narcissists, that are pretty obvious. They're bombastic and they're calling attention to themselves and their flamboyance and they're look at me, look at me. But then there are the other kind, the kind that are like, oh, shucks. And they'll tell stories in an offhanded way that make them seem like the unlikely hero. Okay. And that's what we call the covert narcissist. And so I would say that recognition is key so that you can begin to recover from any insidiously developing relationship, professional or otherwise, that may have gotten you into this sinuous web of, I'm not who I thought I was. I thought I was stronger than this. I'm not sure what's going on. And I don't know why my energy of pouring into this relationship doesn't feel reciprocated fully by the other person. What else do I need to do? When we get into that kind of a position, then we're pretty far into one of those. And there's always a way out.
So when you work with your clients in the realm of healing, what is some of the tips or advice that you give them to help them move out of those energy vampires, the narcissistic people, to really live their life on purpose?
What I advise them to do is, the first thing is to reach inside and find their higher power by whatever name. It doesn't matter. The creator of all that is. And to feel and attune themselves. So this is where my metaphysical skills come in handy, or spiritual skills, as we could probably say, because I help them to find that inner strength and inner source of energy that is endless and eternal, that can really help fuel them. It's really difficult once you are sensitive to it and receptive to this power to not notice it and not feel it and not feel more confident and then become more confident in your actions that come from that confidence. Okay. Another thing that I advise is for them to surround themselves, begin to reach out and increase their social network. Okay, because what happens with people who are in long-term malignant narcissistic relationships is that they've been sort of edged out from their friends and family members because they've been co-creating with the narcissist a singular world where just the two of them exist. And from there, I tell them to get some professional help. Professional in terms of someone who can help them with healing. Now, I'm going to say something that wouldn't be expected from a psychiatrist, but from my training, I can tell you specifically that I, in a top 10 medical school and with a psychiatry in a top program in Michigan, was not trained to truly recognize the abuser and the abusee. Okay, to recognize and to fully treat. I can recognize someone with a personality disorder, but the thing is, even I went with my husband at the time to a top-ranking psychologist who was not trained in dealing with abuse. So I urge them, if they're going to go to a traditional psychologist or psychiatrist, to make sure that they emphasize abuse or narcissism in their training or in the bulk of their patients, because it went unrecognized. I went to that man with physical signs on my arms, and this counselor said to me, "I'm sorry, my hands are tied. I don't know where the truth is. It's 50-50. Well, it's not 50-50 in a narcissistic relationship, and that's what we were not trained on. So go to someone who is aware of abuse and who can spiritually, energetically handle this with you, because you'll get much faster results and truer results if you've got this in your pocket.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so we are here at the Healing Heart Podcast. We are with Dr. Yve Ruiz, talking about how to step into your soul purpose, how to let go of energy vampires and those narcissistic relationships. We're going to take a quick break here for our sponsor, and we will be right back. Get what you always wanted. Abundant life is possible. Transform your lifestyle in just weeks with the most innovative system developed for heart-centered business professionals who seek change today. You are one step away from creating infinite prosperity, happiness, and love. Grab your bonus link now that's in the show notes. All right, so we are back now, and you are listening to the Healing Heart Podcast, and I am your host, Donna Campbell. My guest today is Dr. Yve Ruiz, and we have been talking about how to release energy vampires, how to not be in a narcissistic relationship, to really have that success and healing within your entire being to really move towards your soul purpose. And so what I'm curious about is, in my past, there was a relationship that I had that after a couple of years, I figured out was narcissistic in that relationship, but I didn't know that it was considered that, or that that's what I was experienced during the time. So what are some signs, or what are some ways to identify, are you in this type of relationship or not?
Thank you very much for being open and brave enough to say these things. I come across so many people who are afraid to speak out, and it's by using our throat chakra, it's by expressing ourselves into the world that we receive the help we need, and we can help others and show the way for them. I was just like you. I did not understand the names or labels.
Right.
And then what happened was this world opened up before me. So what I would say now to the next person is, whenever you start to feel as though a person is not following through on their promises, whenever they are making themselves out through their actions and successes to be a little bit larger than life, or consistently right, or consistently better than their coworkers at their job, or than their friends or their other peers, whenever you get these little glimpses of them trying to look better to others, and especially if they are doing this with all your family and all your friends, but then they show something discreetly different behind closed doors. Okay, it can look very loving, very charming. This is called love bombing. When someone starts making you out to be, upon first meeting you or the first few weeks they're with you, just the best thing since sliced bread, so perfect. When they start really idolizing you and make you feel so comfortable that you start sharing your life story, including all the events that may not have been your shining moments. What they're doing is they are really gleaning from you material that they can use against you later. They're learning what your pain points are. They're learning where your triggers are. Okay, they're learning how to manipulate you. And then as we go through, maybe going into a long-term relationship with them, maybe even marrying them, what happens is they insidiously, one by one, start making you feel as though you're not doing quite enough for them. So rather than meeting in the middle, they start pulling off and getting you to step more and more over on their side, so that you're going way out of your own energy, just to scoop into theirs and help them and do for them, while losing your sense of self. Okay, so these are some of the things to begin to look for as they devalue you later on, first periodically, but then more and more. And this is, again, over years. What happens is you begin to feel at wit's end. You might feel like there's something called crazy making, like you're going insane. You just don't know what has happened. I'm fast forwarding, of course, till you're deep in, right?
Mhm.
It's like that little, how do you say, the little story about having a pot of water on the stove, and without the flame on, it's cold, right? Well, when you turn up the flame and it's really, really hot, if you were to, heaven forbid, toss a frog into that water, that frog would leap right out. It's way too hot. It's scalding him. Okay, or her. And so let's take another scenario. New pot has not been heated up yet. Toss the frog inside. The frog says, "Ooh, okay, nice cool water." Then you start turning up the heat slowly, degree by degree. They keep adjusting and adjusting and adjusting and making rationalizations for why they might feel warmer, why it might be getting a little too hot for them, until we get cooked frog. Okay, this is the way they work.
Mhm. Wow. So for you to come in and help people transform, bring that healing into their entire being, what are some things that you do with your client, or what is the process that you take them through to help them recover, to go back into their soul purpose and find themselves again?
I love that question. So when I see someone and I'm starting to divine, I call this intuitive empowerment.
Mhm.
I am basically being shown by their loved ones in spirit what is going on in their lives as they are telling me their story. And so then I ask more questions to confirm what I see. It's the scientist in me. So I'm
Mhm.
a blending of both, really. And as they confirm and confirm, then we go into, as they share, I I gauge their readiness to
Mhm.
be able to handle the situation at hand, or if they need more healing and more information to get to the point where they can be ready. And I plan a program with them. I do group programs and one-on-one. Okay, so when I am with this woman, and I'm saying woman because I have dealt with men, but about 90% of them are women. So when I am with them, what I offer them is to go through and do some forms of healing. Now, I do various modalities, but I have my proprietary blend of being able to go into their energy, cleansing them, and then I am pulling out what no longer serves them and focusing on specific chakras that have to do with dealing with those people and having the confidence to deal with that.
Mhm.
Okay. I really fire them up so that they are ready. And when I say I'm really channeling from divine and working with their soul. And this is my favorite part that was just missing in medical school, right?
Okay.
So it just tickles me. And then what I do is I offer them an Akashic record and soul path reading. Why? Okay, I'll define this. Akasha is sky, Sanskrit for sky. We're talking about the book of life when we say Akashic records. I find out not only where the soul was birthed, but even more importantly, what were the values of the souls in their soul group? What were their strengths? And then I go through their soul's lifetime until now and tell them all about their strengths and how to keep them in balance. What that translates to in the end is someone much more deeply being able to connect the dots in their lives, understand the choices that they made, why they feel the way they do, and realize that they all do this from a place of power, of immense power. So then they leave from that session feeling larger, taller, and more capable to go through the rest. And what I do is a combination then of education, of exercises, and more healing until they get to the point where they are ready to make a huge decision. And the most extreme decision is, of course, if they are actually with a malignant narcissist, to exit from that narcissist life and begin a new life. And then we continue with the coaching and the healing so that they can feel the presence of mind and the motivation to take those scary steps outside of their comfort zone and step into those true strengths, those core strengths that they have simply been diminishing all this time.
Perfect. So you guys are here, and if you're ready to take that first step, transform your life from where you are today into more of that beautiful pathway, then reach out and connect with Dr. Yve Ruiz. So how do our listeners get in touch with you?
Thank you. They can text me or call at area code 949-424-4494. And they can find me out. I go by Yve Spirit Speaks, Yve Spirit Speaks MD on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. They can reach me in any of those ways. I have a series about narcissism and dealing with it on my YouTube channel. They can look for that. It's called Energetically Engaging with Narcissism.
Wow. Wow. Lots of amazing content, amazing tips, and places where we can reach out to you. So everyone, reach out to Dr. Yve. And if you see yourself in one of these situations or want to know more information to see so you can start making life transformations and get back to your authentic self and your soul's purpose, all you have to do is reach out. All right. Thank you so much for being our guest today here with the Healing Heart Podcast.
Thank you very much.
All right. And for everyone out there, go create that beautiful day.